Right, let's do some percentages. Right, let's just go over 10%, 1%, and 5%. So remember what we said. So we'll look at the number 260. So we've got 260. So 10%, we know we divide by 10. So if I divide this number 260, so let me, one second, just move that there. So this is how we do it, don't we? In our heads, we've got 260. So this is all going on in our heads. The decimal point's there because they've not given us it. And we divide by 10, so we move it back one place. Yeah, to the left. So my answer is £26. Now with 1%, let's have a look. Now be careful with this. With 1%, you divide by 100. So you're right, 260. The decimal point is here because they've not given us it, and we move it back 2 places because there's 2 zeros. So in my head it goes 1 in between the 2 digits, 2. So decimal point's there. Now let's get rid of that. Right, I don't need this 0 really, right? Because it's money, I can keep it. But 1% is 2.6, and because it's money, we'll deal with 2 decimal places, so it's £2.60. Right, what did we say about 5%? What you do is work out 10%. So what did we say about 10%? Divide by 10. So divide that by 10 is £26. And then we're going to halve it. We're going to divide it by 2. We're going to halve it. Yeah. So what's half of 26? 13. Right, if you don't know that, what you do is you do double shelter and you halve it. The 2 goes outside. Right, remember what we said by default? We do this, we add a few zeros. Whether we ever use them, it doesn't matter. And let's try it then. How many 2's are there in 2? 1. How many 2's are there in 6? 3. Because there's no remainder, I can stop. So my answer is, where are we? 13. So you divide by 10 and then you divide by 2. So it's £13. Right, okay, so you've got all that. Let's keep moving forward with this now. Right, I want you to work these out. 10% off 80. That's your first one. Work out 50% off 40. So I'm using a question that I've seen. So we're working at 25% of 80, and we can work out maybe 20% of let's no, I won't do that. 120. Right, finally, let's work out 5% of 80. Right, give yourself a minute to think about those and try to do them in your head now, right? Because you're going to be struggling for time. Right, okay, let me just do this for you now. So remember, what I'm doing is you're doing it in your head. When I see 10%, I'm going to divide by 10. The decimal point is there, so I'm going to move it back one place. So my answer is 8.0, which is the same as 8. Right, whenever I see 50%, I think of half. I'm going to halve this, yeah? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide it by 2. So half of 40 is 20. Right, now again, when I see 25%, I think of a quarter. A quarter. And in primary school, what they do, if you want a quarter, you halve something and then you halve it again. You take half of something and then you take another half of a half. So this is, it's not difficult, but it's just get your head around this, right? So I'm going to halve this. I'm going to halve this, I get 40. And then I'm going to halve it again and I get 20. Right. Now, look at this carefully. Let me get rid of this. Right, what some of you might do is a quarter of 80. Quarter of 80. And what you tend to do is 80 divided by 4 times 1. This is what I've seen some students do, which is fine. It'll give the same answer. Right, let's move on. What color shall we use? Purple. Right, okay. I want 20%. So I would think I want to work out 10% and then double it, yeah? So how do we work out 10%? Decimal points there. We divide by 10. So 10%. So we know 10% is 12. And then I want 20%, so I want another 10%. So I want another 12. So I've got 24. Right. Let's do this one. Is there a nice color left? Okay. Let's just run with it. Right. 5%. Remember, we said you work out 10%. And then you divide it by 2. So let's right, let me write this in a different way then. Let me write this in a different way. So let's work out divide by 10 to work out 10%. So if I divide this by 10, decimal points there. Look, because they didn't have a decimal point, it always goes at the end there. So now what I do is I move the decimal point back one place. So I've got 8.0, which is the same as 8, okay? Them two are the same. These two numbers are the same. So in your head, there's the same thing. Now, I've worked out 10%, so I'm going to now halve it, divide it by 2. So if I do 8 divided by 2, it's going to be 4. So 5% of 80 is 4. So do you understand what's going on there? So this is how, what you need to do is start speeding up now. Start moving things around in your head. Some people complain, do not move the decimal point. But if it works in your head and it quickens it up, go for it. Right, so let me leave some questions for you now. Right, 1 second. So what I want you to do is give these a go. Okay, give all these a shot. And you can pause it, give it a go. I'll put the answers up in a bit. Okay, there's the answers. Right, 10% is simple. Move the decimal point back one place. 5%, you work out 10%, and then you halve it, divide it by 2. This is trickier. Trying to divide an odd number by 2, it's tricky. It causes a bit of an issue sometimes. So what I will do is I'll do 30 plus 5. Half of 30 is 15. Half of 5 is 2.5. And then I'll add them 2. Right, let's carry on. 10% is 42. And now I want another 10%. So 42 plus 42 is 84. 5%, you work out 10%. And then you halve it. So remember, this is an odd number, so it's going to be tricky. Don't fall for any traps. So it's 3.5. And 1% is simply divide by 100, and you move the decimal point back 2 places. You get 0.23. Right, okay, that's that done. Practice those. Thank you.